All right, welcome back, beautiful. Well, if you're just tuning in, this is ABS TV and this is the Weekend Show. This is the discussion segment and I'm right here. I'm still with David. Yes. David is my usual company. Okay, so as usual, we have the discussion segment, and this time around, we are going to be talking about something that most parents have been looking out for. Now, with the resumption of schools, a lot of parents have been wondering what is going on. After you drop your kid off to school, what happens till when you pick them up again? So today we are looking at curbing peer pressure in adolescents. And to do justice to that topic, we have a beautiful guest right here with us in the studios. And I'm talking about Johanna. Johanna, I'm really happy you're joining us today.
Thank you.
And I'm really happy that you're an expert in this topic, because we have a lot to talk about, and she is going to make sure that she answers my question, she answers David's question, she answers your question, because we are going to open the phone line and we will talk about it.
Yes.
And we also went to the streets and we looked into peer pressure. But before we go proper into the streets, let's understand what peer pressure is all about. Ma, what is peer pressure?
Okay. Peer pressure is when peer pressure or peer influence is how we look at it. Okay. Because a child can be influenced into doing something either knowingly or unknowingly. Okay. So peer influence is trying to live according to the group, trying to live to behave like the group you are into, so that you can be accepted by them. You know, it can be a pressure when one begins to speak to you about behaving like them, but you could also be influenced by just being in that group. It can also be positive or negative. Okay. Because you don't just learn only bad things from any group you find yourself. You can also learn the good ones. You can also learn the bad ones. So some people could be influenced to be like their friend, like do better in school or read a course. At least I've heard people say, I want to read medicine because that's my friend. He's reading medicine. It's an influence. While you can also find those that would want to, like, can I try this thing you're doing? Like maybe that person is smoking or something and you want to try it. Or some will say, guy, come and join us, you know, and let's fill into this group. So pressure can come from anywhere. It could also be influenced.
So it can be good, it can be bad?
Yes, it can be positive, it can be negative.
Okay, so we'll have to go to the streets, because Rume went to the street, and Rume is right here to bring us reports of what people think about curbing peer pressure right there on the streets. Rume?
Pressure is when you're forced to do whatever you don't want to do against your own will. Today's episode on Street Waka, we're going to be looking at the topic curbing peer pressure in adolescents. Let's go and find out what the public has to say about this topic.
Peer pressure is like forcing an individual to do something against his or her will. For examples, now we'll talk about our school peer pressure, friends. So it's like you meeting with a set of people and they are doing illegal things and they're like, you're free to join us in doing this thing, but you don't feel like, so they're forcing you. It's against your will in doing that thing. Okay, as a youth, we can avoid peer pressure in so many ways. Like, we all have our rights. We have our freedom of speech. Nobody can tell you what you want to do. Nobody can force you into anything you don't feel like doing. So you can avoid peer pressure in many ways. Like, if you see that this person is forcing you to do what you don't want to do, you keep off from that person. Like, you give the person space. You have your own mind. You tell the person what's in your mind, that I can't do this. Nobody will force. Nobody will put a knife in your throat for you to do what you don't want to do.
I think peer pressure can be seen as like trying to coerce someone to do something, maybe not in the person's will, as a matter of fact, but doing it because you feel that is something that is right. Okay. Maybe even when the person don't feel like, you're trying to give the person reasons to do what you wish, something of that nature.
Yeah, it has to do with like the kind of friends you keep and then what they influence you to do. Probably what you want to do on your own, but then just because you're doing it, you just have to like. I think you have to first of all mind the kind of friends you keep. You don't keep friends that don't rhyme with your kind of person. It now boils down to knowing your kind of person. If you know you're weak at saying no, then you should keep friends that you can keep on a platonic level. What I mean is, Don't keep friends that you know can pressure you into things that you don't want to do. Set your priorities straight and tell them this is what I can do and this is what I cannot do. And then when they bring up stuff that you can't do, you should be able to say no.
One of the ways I've avoided self-pressure is to, first of all, understand my personality. Because if you do not have your own personal self-esteem, you are likely to go with every definition people give to you. So first of all, you have to understand me personally. I was able to crop that personally for me because I took my time to understand my self-esteem, my self-worth. So I don't derive my self-esteem from what people say about me. I derive my self-esteem because of what I know about myself.
Peer pressure, to me, I understand, is like being influenced by a group of people or by your age grade. Being influenced to do things that you don't want to do. You can avoid peer pressure by learning how to say no. There are some people that will say no, but at the end of the day, no will mean yes. So learn how to practice it. Learn how to say no repeatedly. Stand on your grounds. Like if someone said, "Girl, would you like to go out with me this night?" You'll be like, "I don't want to go out." You say no. The person should come back again. Still say no, because some people will say no. At the end of the day, they'll still say yes. So you have to learn how to say no repeatedly. You need to evaluate the type of friends you have.
All right, you've heard what the people have to say about curbing peer pressure in adolescence, and one of the ways you need to curb peer pressure, even in your own self, is to say no. Yes, you have the power to say no. Nobody can kill you or hold your neck and say, "Come on, say yes, say yes." You don't have to do whatever anybody tells you to do. You have your own self-confidence. You have your own free will. You have the opportunity to say no. And on this note, we draw the curtain of the episode on Street Waka on the Weekend Show.
All right, that was a beautiful one from Roman. She said you have the power to say no. Yeah. Now, from what you said, Joanna, you said peer pressure is not always negative.
Yeah.
It can be positive.
Yes.
So it's not always all about saying no.
Yes.
Okay, now that's good. So let's look at the positive parts first.
Okay. Like I said earlier on, there are positive. If you are in a group, with a group of people, friends, no matter who you are, you're bound to pick one thing or the other from there. Okay. You're picking something, you're learning something. Anywhere you are learning something. So what you have to first of all know is, or tell yourself, or like I tell parents to tell their children, is learn the positive things. Okay. Stay away from the negative ones, the ones that will not take you further. So for example, just like I said earlier on, if you stay with someone that has, for example, maybe loves to sing and you like the person's voice or something, you can say, okay, I can start trying to sing like my friend. You know, somehow you just start practicing on your own, learning it and all that. And along the line, you can join and start singing. Also, some people change their field of study. Okay, I think I'm going to study medicine because Emeka is studying medicine, and I like the way Emeka lives his life. So maybe studying medicine will make me to start behaving like Emeka. And perhaps Emeka is actually living right. That is a positive side of it.
Okay, I'm talking about the positives now, and how to learn. You mentioned that you tell parents to tell their kids to learn the positives. How would a kid distinguish? Because you know, when you're in a group, there's a possibility of being talked to, and you know that decision, that when you make your choices, it comes from the general of decisions you've heard from people around you. So how would a kid distinguish between the positives and the negatives?
Thank you very much. You see, in every relationship, we always tell parents that you must have a relationship with your children, an open relationship. An open relationship where they can walk up to you with ease and talk to you. There won't be tensed up to be able to say something or do something. you mind the way you caution them so that they can be free to be able to talk to you. That is when you begin to pass the message. You want your child to behave right, there must be a level of communication between you and your children. I tell parents to be open. Give them room to talk to you and then be able to talk to them. As a parent now, you have to wake up in the morning, your child is about to leave for school. You'll be like, okay, for example, the child is going into a boarding house. Okay, you're going to school today. I ask that you continue to follow your friends, go to church, keep the right company like the ones we've taught you at home. Don't join the gangs that smoke. You know it's not right because your health is not, it might not take it. And then let your child understand that when you are saying no, just like that lady said, you say no tactically. You don't get aggressive. No. And you just, no, thanks, I'm not doing it. You try to make the person understand why you are saying no. No, I can't smoke. It's not good for my health. No, I can't drink because alcohol is not right.
Okay.
You just balance it, so that from there the child begins to pull out from that gathering, knowing that it's not right because you have already told your child that smoking and drinking is not right.
All right, don't forget that this is a phone-in program. You can call us. Our lines are right there on your screen. Call us, air your view. If you have questions, she's an expert. She can answer. Now, you said something when you spoke about positive peer pressure. You said, let me say I have a friend who studied medicine and I decided to go in and study medicine because of that, my friend. But then I also know that a lot of people will preach, search within yourself, I find your inner potentials. Now, don't you think that if a person influences another person to dab into his or her own profession, do you see that as being positive? I think, for instance, what if the other person could have been or could have made a better lawyer? Now, because of peer influence, he or she becomes a medical doctor, and at the end of the day, he or she might or might not be happy about it.
Well, he might or might not be happy about it, but it is not an attitude or behavior that has destroyed the society.
Okay.
The behavior has not destroyed the society, it has not destroyed the family, so it's still on the positive side.
But it might actually be on the negative for the person that took that decision. He might live the rest of his life not being happy.
Most times people do different fields.
Okay.
You can be doing medicine and then discover his own and add it up.
Okay.
So let's look at
discovering yourself. It's not, most people don't discover their potentials immediately. They discover as they grow.
Okay. You talked about parents inculcating these values on their kids even before they enter into the society.
Yeah.
But some people say, we've done this. Some parents listening to us this morning will say, we've done this, we talked to this kid, but we discover that I have a friend whose son was a kind of wayward, but the mom was powerful, per se, in influencing other kids positively. Now, looking at such situations, how do you mind? Is it that the peer pressure is stronger in inculcating values than the parents?
The truth is,
the parental influence.
Peer pressure is actually strong.
Okay.
It's actually strong. It's not something.
Why is this so?
Because at adolescents, at a certain level or age, they want to discover themselves. These children are eager to bring out what they think they have inside of them. Okay. They want to be themselves. I want to do this that this person is doing. I want to achieve this. I want to achieve that. They are kind of in a hurry to achieve this. So when they go out to socialize with their friends, they want to do virtually everything their friend is doing so that they can belong to that group.
So, can I ask, are you Igbo?
No, I'm not Igbo.
Okay, because I wanted to speak Igbo. I'm happy I asked. Now, let's look at it from the school angle. Now, as a parent, I have a child in school. I drop the child off around 7 in the morning, and then picking up the child sometimes is 4 o'clock. In fact, some schools go as far as 6. Now, you look at some children that actually stay in hostels, those that are actually boarders. Now, my question is, as a parent, some parents will actually, they will take their child and put their child into the care of another senior student, and they'll be like, take care of this child for me. Some call it school daughter, yes. Some call it school mother, school father, and you even have different kind of relationship. Some go as far as handing over these children over to the teacher, and they'll be like, take care of this child for me. But then at the end of the day, you notice that these adults, that was put in charge of this kid is actually the one spoiling the kid. Would you call that peer pressure? And then do you think it's actually a nice thing?
Well, adults spoiling children has become an abuse.
Okay.
It has become an abuse, and abuse is of diverse ways. There are different forms of abuse.
Okay.
So if you hand your child over to an adult as like a guardian in a school, like in a boarding school, and you say, take care of this child for me, and the person begins to influence the child, it is an abuse. Now, a child is not meant to be protected or spoken to by only the parents. Anyone that is an adult that has good values can inculcate that into any child. So if I entrust my child to you and you begin to abuse the child, because of what, like I will always say, I tell parents, always tell your children to trust nobody else. Trust nobody 100%. Just be comfortable, but be at alert. Because you can't see through someone. You can't see what this person will do the next minute. That is why you need to be at alert. The person can change any minute. The person can pretend to be good, and before you know what's happening, the person has gone off. So if your child knows that my mom said, trust nobody, the child is at alert, the guardian is beginning to try something funny, the child is ready to speak to the parent. That is why I said open communication. Let your child be able to tell you anything. Do not give a rash reaction that because your child just told you an adult abused me and immediately you are reacting, oh, why, and all that. You scare the child and you make the child retreat. But whereby the child can come and say, Mom, Dad, I don't like my guardian. You just have to listen to why they don't like your guardian.
Okay, we have a caller.
Hello.
Oh, go ahead.
Hello.
You just have to listen to why that child said, I don't like my guardian.
Okay.
You don't have to say that. In fact, the number one problem we have is most parents trust the people they entrust their children to more than they trust
kids.
their own children.
Yes.
I keep asking them, why will you do that? Yes, your child is not 100% okay, perfect, yes, but give them that room to be able to
Air their views.
Okay, so we're talking about...
Okay, let's take this call. Hello.
Okay, we're talking about curbing peer pressure. Now, we have been speaking, and from what you've said so far, I think we've picked out some of the roles of the parents in curbing peer pressure. Now, let's look at the school. What is the role of the school in making sure that children who mingle together are not actually influenced negatively?
Yes. The school, they've got their parts to play.
Okay.
But before the school can achieve something, you as parents have got to start yours from the home.
Okay.
You don't leave everything to the teacher because that teacher has so many things she's thinking about, so many children to attend to. So most times their attention is divided and then they cannot give 100%. We are humans. Most people won't give 100% attention to your child. And then they will just want to pass the message generally and leave it at that. But you as a parent now, you have to observe. You are not just talking alone. You are observing. Your child comes back home. As the child is greeting you and walking in, you are observing. You're responding, you're smiling, but you're watching. As a child wants to go to bed, you're watching. You just have to watch out for the latest character, I call it the latest attitude that the child is going to come back with. Now, the school will do as they are supposed to do more, but they can't do more because they have large numbers to control. They can't see through every child. They can't know who you mingle with. All they have to do is to watch them while they are maybe playing or chatting, control that aspect, and speak to them, educate them on these are the things you should do. This is what will happen. This is how you end up if you do this and if you do that. And when they find out such things, they shouldn't hide it from the parents. They should make it open.
Okay, I want to ask, you've been talking to adolescents and parents as well, based on behavioral change and development. What do you tell parents usually when it's the case of this child has been badly influenced already? Okay, we have a caller. Hello.
Oh.
The child has been badly influenced already. How do you talk to parents to get them back on track?
I always tell them, patiently counsel them.
Okay.
A child that has been badly influenced, if you approach it with force or attack, the child keeps retreating.
Okay.
If you don't like the kind of friends your child keeps, You don't criticize and condemn that friend. You criticize the behavior of that friend.
Okay.
The character of that friend. Nkechi is your friend. Nkechi is a pretty girl. I kind of like her.
Okay.
But
I think Nkechi does this and does that. Say, yeah. So you can see that I've told you before that such attitude is not right. It won't take you far.
Okay.
Have you tried speaking to Nkechi? Like, I talk about, majorly about child sexual abuse.
Okay.
And after speaking to the children, I always tell them, please speak to your friends. And I have gotten positive response. Children are ready to teach. They are in a hurry to teach that good thing they have learned. So I tell them, please speak to your friends. Tell them to protect themselves. Tell them this and tell them. So when you tell your child, have you been able to talk to Nkechi about that thing she does? Have you tried telling her it's not right? You know, the child, somehow, we're humans. Gradually, the child begins to understand that, okay, my mom doesn't hate Nkechi. Because if you let her know you hate Nkechi, she'll secretly see Nkechi. You can't follow them 24 hours.
yes.
You can't. So you have to be tactical. She will secretly see Nkechi. But when you say Nkechi's character is not good, she will begin to try to correct the things that Nkechi does.
Okay, so what about parents? Sometimes we have parents who, I want to use the word claim, but there are parents who actually work so hard that they hardly have time for their children. Do you think it's an excuse for a parent to be too busy to observe his or her child?
That is the number one thing that is destroying children. That is the number one thing that is killing the society. You are too busy. You are working for other people. You are making money. Your home is being destroyed. At the end of the day, you retire back to these children. Who is waiting for you at home? A destroyed destiny. Then you begin to talk, I have done all I can. You are busy, yes. The both of you have not got to be. You don't have to be busy together.
Yes, thank you.
You have to manage it, please. See how you can come in this time. I come in the next time. You come in this time. That's why it's more difficult for single parents, you know.
Okay, please, your last word. I have to round off this segment.
Oh, my advice to the young ones is pick your friends wisely and then keep different good social groups. So that if this particular group of friends is trying to influence you negatively, you can pull out and not feel empty and not feel lonely because you have another group to fit into. If you have a football group, you belong to a church group, and then a family gathering. If the football group is influencing you negatively, you can pull out from there and fix yourself here, and then you begin to live your life.
Thank you very much. I would say, like Professor Nebo will say, Professor Chinedu Nebo, teach your kids the original so that when they see the fake, they will identify them.
Exactly.
With that,
we have to round off the segment, and don't forget, children out there, as you go back to school, I'm sure you guys are watching, as you go back to school, do not forget what you've been taught in church, by your parents, and then when your friends go the wrong way, be the person to call them back. Now, Weekend Show continues with the breakfast news. Don't touch the star.